Hey everybody, so here we are on another weekend day here, Sunday, and we're in the middle of May, and the temperatures have been getting super hot super quick already. But I think it's time to harvest the potatoes. So as we walk over here, let's take a look. So as you can see from what we know, potatoes have nice green vines here, plants that grow up, they will flower, then they yellow and die. Now, that usually tells you when the potatoes are done. Here's where the flowers used to be. So, how do you know if they're done? Well, we think we know. We think we know they're done. We hope we know they're done, because then the sweet potatoes have to start getting in here too. So as we start to kind of look at the status of the plants, they're starting to die back. So we're hoping it's time. We planted them in about February. Maybe, I can't remember the exact date, but it's still kind of cold out here in Texas. Middle of February, so February to March, April, May. It's about 3 months. It's about 90 days. So will they be giant potatoes or little potatoes or everything in between? Let's start finding out. What I'm going to do is start pulling some of these. Now, when you pull them out, are you pulling the potatoes out too with it? Probably, potentially. Now, it's going to be hard here to pull these out and maybe cut them back a little bit. We could use this for ground mulch, a nice covering to stop the weeds from coming up. Let me get a tool here and I can start to cut them back instead of tackling this. You know, what's the proper way to pull potatoes here and hold the camera. I got my Japanese Hori Hori. It's a pretty good tool. It's got a blade on one side and it's strong. It can dig in. It can do a lot of stuff. So let me come back here. You know, the energy for the potatoes is probably going to stop anyways. As the plants start to fall over and die back, they're not going to be taking the energy anyway. So it's probably no better time to check. But basically, kind of cut them like this and start seeing, cut them back. So let me do that. I'm going to put the camera down and I'll show you where we go after that. Okay. Okay, so on one of the beds, I cut them back, and now probably have to remove the mulch and then start pulling and getting in there, seeing what we find. So this is, of course, the big reveal. What will we find? What will we see? So let's take the next steps to peel back the onion, so to speak. Okay, we've pulled a lot of the mulch back, and as we've done that, there's already potatoes very much at the top of the beds. There's white potatoes and red potatoes in here. So we don't have to dig too far down to actually see that there's potatoes growing right underneath that mulch, and pulling the mulch up. As I start to just push away some of the dirt here, you can see that the potatoes were very close to the top. Now, is there any down deeper? We'll have to see as we start to pull these out. So let's start to pull some of these out and see what happens. Okay, as you can see, we're starting to pull out potatoes here, and the white ones are kind of big. You know, we've definitely got some bigger potatoes here as we're kind of digging through the dirt. It's pretty soft because it's just peat moss and garden soil. Oh, that one that one looked like it was kind of bad, a little too wet. All right, we'll throw that away.
Yeah, that one's rotten. Smell it.
Yeah. All right, see if you can pull out. See if there's anything underneath there. There's definitely some little ones. Pulling out some of these roots. There's one. So they're definitely closer to the top. There's another one. As you start to pull back the dirt, you can see them.
Beautiful.
Gotta watch out for the ants in there too, because they may bite.
Oh, that's.
Alright, as we're pulling out the stems here, you can see the potatoes are localized right to where the plants are. Not too many where they don't spread too much. They kind of just stay localized and grow down, but for this one plant here, it definitely produced a lot of big potatoes, and then you got some smaller than the other, but it's definitely, you know, in 3 months time it definitely produced some large potatoes. And could we have kept the potatoes still in to grow? Probably, but at some point the bigger ones would start to rot or go bad. You can see what we got so far, and now as we pull out another plant, you can see the little potatoes on the vine here. So it's nice that you got little ones and big ones for different meals. So as we put them in here, these are what we got so far, and we're only about a quarter of the way pulled out so far. So we'll continue pulling these out and see what we find. So as I'm pulling on the plant here, you can see what starts to emerge, how they grow. Here's the seed potato, and it's huge, right? That's the seed potato, and right around it is all the new potatoes, because they're white, of course. And you can see that, you know, some people say, oh, you cut it into the seed potatoes into small, but I say no, that's a lot of energy, right? That can produce nice big potatoes and plants, right? So as you can see here, as I'm pulling away at this plant, you can see underneath what shakes out. Let me pull back the dirt now here. It's kind of hard with one hand, but you can see that the potatoes were very much localized to the top, right? They didn't necessarily go down deep. Now it's nice that you have the depth, because if they do go deep or get big, it's got places to go. And here's the seed potato. Still almost a good seed potato, but it's producing all that, right? As well as stuff underneath. You can find these little hidden gems. So the roots, I can tell as I dig in here, went deep. But the potatoes didn't necessarily go deep. They stayed locally at the top. And I'm just digging through here to see if I can find anything that goes deep, right? I mean, I got a good 10 inches, I think, here, depth. Now, the sweet potatoes are bigger. They may want some of this depth and space, but, you know, I planted these seed potatoes pretty close to each other. As you can see, you know, each plant's, you know, pretty close. So, yeah. You know, for each one seed plant, we're getting, you know, 4 or 5 potatoes, it seems. So, all right, well, we got some more to take out. Okay, so we've done half a bed here so far, and that's the white potato. So if you see our basket here, you know, we've got, I don't know how many pounds. What do you think? What's that, about 10 pounds?
Oh,
5 pounds?
That might be more. Oh, there's more than 5. There's more
Definitely
than 10.
more than 5.
More than 10.
Maybe 10 to 20 pounds. Lift it up a little bit. Let's see the other side. So you can see that with, you know, I don't know, probably 10 or so of the seeds, that it produces these different white potatoes of different sizes and shapes. So a pretty good harvest. We've never done this before. We've never really grown, you know, potatoes. And, you know, I know it's not anything new or special, but for us it's kind of new. And to have this kind of harvest from the potatoes in this new bed with new dirt and kind of new everything as an experiment, pretty good so far. Now we've got some reds in this other second bed to pull out, so we'll continue to do that, but there's the white potato so far, and they look really good. So, okay, we'll continue on. Okay, as we're making our way here with the red potatoes, we're noticing that, of course, being this variety, they're smaller, and there's the seed. They're smaller and just not as many as the white potato. Now that could be, of course, for a number of reasons, but here we go, digging them out. But yeah, the reds aren't as prolific so far that we're finding as the whites. So here, as we pull it back, you can see, you know, there's the seed and the plant, and then of course here's the potatoes. So they're nice. They're definitely nice potatoes, nothing wrong with them, just not as prolific. So there's some, look at that, digging them out. All right, so we'll finish pulling these out and we'll show you the end result. Okay, so this bed is clean now, and here are the reds. So not as many as the white potatoes, definitely not as big because they're a smaller variety of potato, but here, lift that up and we can show what we got here. Yeah, so some nice red potatoes. You get a few meals out of those. You can see how many we got. Maybe that's about almost half the size of the whites, maybe 8 pounds, 10 pounds, something there. But that's not bad. So for one bed is our first go around, not too bad. All right, so we still got this bed to go. So let's start cleaning this one up next. All right, so here we've cleaned this out, and you can see there's the red new potatoes here. The other ones were the purple potatoes, but they weren't really as purpley. But these are the red potatoes, and you can see again they're close to the top. So as we start pulling these plants, we should see red new potatoes. Okay, as we're pulling up the red new potatoes, there's lots of those. They seem to be doing pretty good, as you can see here, just even across the top under the mulch they were growing, but they seem to be at some different depths too. So we're just started and we got all this to go, so we might have more reds than anything else if this keeps going. Okay, so that's all the potatoes from both beds, all cleaned out, and you can see the reds were the most prolific with this basket here. We took a full basket out, double the white, so this has got to be at least 30 pounds of potatoes here. So all right, so let's take them and we'll see what we got. All right, so here's the 3 baskets of potatoes that we have. We have the white potatoes and the red potatoes and the purple potatoes. So not a bad harvest for the first go around. We'll clean these off a little bit and then let them dry out and get ready to store for a while. All right, that's this year's potato harvest. Now it's time to plant the sweet potatoes next.